Hello and welcome to Calm the Pharm podcast, where pharmacy business meets legal wisdom, minus the headache. In each episode, we share practical legal tips and real-life examples to help you run your pharmacy with confidence. I'm your host, Sarah Stoddart. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome back to another episode of Calm the Pharm podcast. Today, we're talking about business names. When you need to register them, how you use them, and what happens when you sell your business. So in every state of Australia, there is business name legislation, which basically governs the use and registration of business names. And what you might not know is that if you have a registered business name, you are required by law to actually be trading under that business name. So this means you can't have an idea and go and register a heap of business names for it in an effort to try and protect that name or that idea, because you are required to actually trade under that business name. So if you are registering a business name, make sure you're trading under it. And if you have multiple business names that you are not trading under, you should seriously consider whether you should be doing that at all. So that's the general principle with regard to business names. When you actually do go to register a business name, that is done through ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. And that is done online. It's a fairly easy process that you can do yourself or have a representative do on your behalf. The registration is quick and easy and fairly minimal cost. So your registration occurs, and then depending on your renewal cycle, it is up for renewal every 1 or 3 years. That's a fairly straightforward process and part and parcel of business. Now, when the time comes to sell your business or transfer your business, if the buyer is going to be using the same business name under which the business operates, then it is likely that it is a condition of your contract that the business name needs to be transferred to the buyer on settlement. And to transfer a business name, you need to give the buyer an ASIC consent to transfer number letter. Now that sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but essentially it is a letter from ASIC which gives you a code, which is a number, that enables the buyer to transfer the business name to them on settlement. So before settlement occurs, you need to log in to your ASIC Connect account, or the account which is linked to your business name, and request a cancellation or transfer of the business name. Now, don't be fooled by the word cancellation. It doesn't actually mean you are cancelling the business name. It is just categorized under cancel or transfer business name. When you follow those prompts, it will trigger the letter from ASIC to issue via email. So keep an eye out for that. Importantly, because you are waiting for this important notice to come through from ASIC, you should, before you request the cancellation or transfer letter, check that the email address registered with ASIC is correct, because that is the email address to which the letter will be sent. It is difficult to try and track down that letter once it's gone out, and it often requires long periods of being on the phone to ASIC trying to sort it out. So you need to follow that process, like I say, before settlement. Then on settlement, you give that letter to your buyer. Now, if you're a buyer and you've received an ASIC consent to transfer number letter, what you need to do is go on to ASIC Connect account yourself or have your representative do it on your behalf and actually register that business name. Now, when I say register the business name, of course it is already registered, but that is the process you follow on ASIC Connect. And when you type in the name, because it is in fact already registered, it will tell you that and ask you whether you have a code to enable the name to be transferred to you. And of course you do if you're in possession of that letter that I referred to. So you pop in your code, follow the steps, and the business name becomes yours. So there is a little bit involved in the transfer of a business name. It is a straightforward process, but at the same time, it is something which is often overlooked, and it requires things to be done by both the seller and the buyer, depending on the timing, of course. So it is important that this is front of mind when you are either setting up a new business, making sure that you're using the name which you have registered and not going and registering multiple names that you're then not trading under. If you are selling a business, you need to ensure you have the transfer ready to go and the number to give to the buyer. And of course, if you're buying a business, you need to be in receipt of that letter and ensure that you complete the transfer process as soon as possible after settlement. Now, one thing to be aware of is that if you are a seller and you've requested the cancellation or transfer letter and then there is a delay, it is possible that the name will be cancelled entirely. Similarly, if you are a buyer and you don't attend to the transfer within a certain amount of time, it is a couple of months from the date of the letter, then there is a risk the name will be cancelled. So as a seller, I would recommend not doing the transfer request too early before settlement because that might create problems with cancellation. Usually a week or two before settlement should be sufficient. So that's a little bit about business names today. Possibly a few things there you didn't know, maybe a few things you did know, but it is something that is often overlooked, but it is an important part of business. Now, of course, your business name is protected to a certain degree because it is registered with ASIC, and business name registrations can block company name registrations. So if there is a business that is registered in a name of a company you're trying to register, you'll have difficulties trying to register that company and vice versa. A business name is not, however, a trademark and therefore isn't protected by intellectual property. If you do wish to protect the business name as intellectual property, you should seek advice from an IP specialist. Hope that's been helpful. Look forward to chatting to you again next week.